I know there are so many people who like mangoes, just like us Kambas, but there are people who don't like mangoes literally. Kuna watoto wapendi maembe, lakini hao ni watiaji. I know you've not gone mental in a bit, but here we are today. We are talking about rejection and how to deal with rejection. First, what's rejection? And what's your understanding of what you think rejection is? But rejection is the feeling of not being accepted, or maybe the feeling of not even sometimes accepting ourselves. Sometimes we are the ones rejecting ourselves. Sometimes we find this rejection from different people, sometimes our colleagues, our families, our friends, people we love, or maybe people we've tried to put effort in trying to be in their lives, but they do not want us there. So that's when rejections comes in. Probably understanding of rejection is when people say no to you and you really very much get mad with them. But today I want you to understand that rejection is something that helps you grow, and I want you to understand that the growth of your life actually happens when people say no to you. There's so many doors that open every single day in your lives when someone just says a no to you. There's so much that happens in your life. In fact, you become so much shaky every single time someone says no to you. Sometimes you even determine the kind of life you want when someone fires you from work. So do not take rejection as a punishment. In fact, rejection is an opening door for you to become a better version of yourself. But sometimes if we get rejected, or maybe we get to a point where we are going through rejection, it's not like these people don't like us, or maybe we are not the best people for this job, or maybe not the best people for this activity. It's just that sometimes things don't have to work our ways, because you're not an ice cream guy. People can't just keep liking you all through, So sometimes things don't have to work our ways, and that's why we are talking about how do I deal with such kind of situation, or how do I deal with the fact that things are not falling into my place. Rejections, when we get born into a family where we are just like step kids, or sometimes you're born into a family where one of our parents is not our actual parents, like our biological parents, but they got married to this other person who is also not your parent again, and they don't treat you the way you're supposed to be treated. I know that can cause a lot of traumatic issues, especially when you're growing up, and especially when you have to deal with this kind of gender of your parent. That's one. Second is, sometimes you go to apply for a job position and you realize that they just said, and just no, because it's you. The people who just say no because it is you, but they actually say a very big yes because it's not you. Number three, sometimes we get rejected into the people we want to invest our lives in, people who you look at and you're like, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my entire life with, and then but this time they're just not the actual people to be there for you. It happens, and when we learn how to deal with this kind of emotions, we learn how to deal with this kind of traumas, we grow up becoming people who are ready to accept what life gives them, and them understanding what life gives unto them. So first of all, when you have to deal with rejection, you need to accept that you've been rejected. Number one to healing is acceptance. The moment you accept that they said a no to me because it's not me, it's okay. I can find another job in a better place. I can know how to deal with myself in a better way. Sometimes as I said first, sometimes you're born into this family and you realize, wow, you know what? These step brothers or step sisters of mine don't treat me the way I'm supposed to be treated. So when you accept the fact that, you know what, I don't need to be the best person in their lives, I don't need to be the best version of myself with them. What I need to do is accept the fact that they ain't my actual brothers, they're not my biological brothers, and there's nothing I can do about it. Let me tell you something. We choose our friends, we can choose our colleagues. In fact, you can even choose your own partner. In fact, you choose your own partner, but we don't choose where to be born. It's not even out of your wish to be born where you are. And when I get into a conversation where I have to talk about foster parents and foster siblings, or maybe where you find yourself, maybe you've been adopted, what I say is, these people need to understand, if you had a choice to be born somewhere else, in fact, that place wouldn't be there. Why? As in the actual place. In fact, you'll not even be in Kenya. It's not out of your wish that fact you're born in that kind of situation. It's not your wish that you're born by foster. You have a foster parent. It's not your wish you have somebody. Some parents just came to adopt you or something. As in, it's not in your control. So what you need to do is accept the fact that that's how life came for you, and it's not of your wish. Totally, it's not. It's not out of your wish. When you know that, you learn how to deal with this kind of rejection in a very better way, in a more mature way, in a more growing way for yourself, because it's traumatic to be with people who don't appreciate you. It's traumatic to be with people who look at you and they're like, I don't know, who are pana. It's traumatic to be in a relationship where someone just says, let's have fun, but there's nowhere we are going. It's even more traumatic to be in a relationship where you look at this person and you say, this is the king of my life. Lakini kidogo, it does not go like that. When you learn how to accept rejection, and this is especially to men, they don't think that it's possible for them to be people to actually say no to them. But what they need to understand is, either way, it's not in your control for me to accept you or not, but just learn how to deal with rejection in a better way. I don't know if you know the story of Oprah. Oprah was fired from her job at a very young age. Oprah was just fired from her job by that time. And are you in control of such kind of a situation? But trust me, if Oprah was not fired at that time, she would not be the Oprah we know today. Sometimes it's actually an opening door for you to just become another person of yourself. If someone says no to you, it's okay. Learn to say it's okay. It was a no, but it does not mean that I'm not gonna be anything else in life. I can achieve so many things that I want. So take no's as positive as you can. Number 2 is to recognize rejection. Sometimes we're in that position to tell when people don't like us. In fact, we are not even in control totally. It happens. But one thing you need to know is to understand when people say no to you, as in recognize that this is a no. Sometimes they're not even telling me a no, but I need to understand that with the way they are coming or the way they are doing their things, it's an actual no for me. As in, when you recognize denial, it becomes so easy. When you recognize people are saying no to you in this way, it becomes so easy. Sometimes, one thing, if you do not recognize what rejection is, you'll realize that because you're available. But the moment you understand this is rejection, whether it becomes so easy for you to move on in different aspects. So at first you need to accept that people can get denied, or people can actually reject me, but now you need to recognize what rejection is. When you know that this is rejection, because you already know what you are, what I'm capable of offering, So if you understand what rejection is, you're in a very good place. Because the worst part about rejection is denial. When I say no to you, or you feel when I feel you're not the kind of guy I'm looking for, the worst part is you denying that I don't want you. That's the worst part. You push you into places where you need to prove yourself to me, who you are, what you're capable of doing. You want to flash your money all around. But another thing is, kubali tu elewa venye vitu ziko, and then it becomes so easy for you to deal with that kind of rejection. And as I said, rejection haimanishi ati sikutaki in a bad way. Sometimes rejection is just a no for me because you're not what I want. Rejection from you is a no from you because you feel like I am not what you want. Everyone has their own kind of taste and everything. There are times we find ourselves in kind of a type of rejection where somebody just fired me from work for no reason. Someone just said no to me for no reason. Probably my parents are not my actual parents, and my foster parents, or my biological parents, or whoever is just treating you in a bad way. You need to learn to deal with that kind of rejection in a very compassionate way. Love yourself. In fact, accept the fact that maybe hawataki mtu mzuri kama mimi. They want somebody else who is their own kind of bad. You need to learn to treat yourself with so much compassion, whether people accept you or do not accept you. The worst part is when you go through any kind of rejection and then you start saying whether they left because of me. You start blaming yourself for the mistakes that they decided to do. You end up pulling yourself into so many anxiety issues, so many disorders, so many, as in unajipush tu kwa vitu zenye haufai kukuwa hapo, just because you do not want to treat yourself nicely. You know what? When someone decides to go, let them go. It gives you a very nice place to understand that, you know what, I was not good enough for them, and it's okay. They never wanted me the way I wanted them, and it's okay. My friends probably don't find me interesting as I find them interesting. It's also fine. Like when people say no to you, you need to learn to appreciate it. To appreciate the fact that they do not want you the way you are. Probably they want another version of another different kind of person, and that's not you. And you need to find your own clique to deal with or to have fun with, instead of having to push yourself into people's tables, and probably there's not even a seat prepared for you. You need to understand that whether people reject me or accept me, I need to appreciate myself and deal with that in a very compassionate way. Number 4 is learn how to process rejection. Like, let it take you through journeys and steps where you understand why is it the way things are for me, and all throughout that journey of you understanding why people say no to me, or why ain't things working the way I want them, you need to be very much positive about it, and do not be angry about the fact that someone said no to you. You don't need to be angry because things ain't falling the way you want them to happen. You don't need to be angry because, when I am angry, I'm spreading all the anger onto other people, and sometimes because of my anger or because I feel like I'm hurt, I'll end up hurting other people just because I feel like, you know what, you guys are really hurting me. People are just saying no to me anyhow, so it's my turn to pay back. You have no right to hurt anyone. You have no right to share your anger with other people. What you need to understand is you need to be positive and process every kind of rejection in a very positive and an understanding. Number five is stay very much healthy. Depression comes with a lot of rejection. You understand? Like the reason why most of us even end up committing suicide is because we were left, or maybe we felt that we were not good enough for so and so. But you need to learn how to stay healthy in every situation. Like hata mtu aseme hapana, it does not mean that it's the end of the world for you. What you need to understand is that I need to appreciate who I am. I need to maintain the mood whether the situation is good or not. And if sometimes I feel like this is so much overwhelming for me and I'm falling into depression because so and so left me, because we've seen relationships that have gone all the way down, and you find one of the partners is actually growing thinner, there is too much stress, they don't leave the house, they're falling into drugs, alcohol, and as in they're just too much going through their lives. You also need to learn how to let people go in a very healthy way. Like, the fact that you've been left is not the end of the world. In fact, you know what? The world has just begun. Life has just begun for you again. You need to experience this other kind of life for yourself. The fact that someone says no to you, you need just to move on in a very professional and a healthy way for yourself. If you push yourself into stress, you'll fall into depression. You'll fall into bipolar. You'll fall into mood disorders where you just don't want to go to work. You're not anywhere. There's nothing happening in your lives. You need to understand that whether people walk away, whether people decide to just live for their own good, you need to learn to let that go patiently, without too much. Hide it in the subconscious mind, saying that acha ende kama nataka kuenda. You need to learn to appreciate things in a very positive way, letting go of this kind of people out of our lives patiently, with too much patience, without feeling like they took away a part of our lives. You need to do it with so much patience with yourself. Understand that it's normal and it happens. My very last point of the day is, do not let rejection define who you are. Sometimes when people say no to us, we get to have that tendency of saying, was I the person who was wrong, or what really happened, or did I make this person mad, or something like that. It just happens. Do not let that moment when someone said no to you define who you are in real person. You know what? I know there are seasons in life, and there are those seasons where we have mangoes. You know, I'm gonna talk about fruits. The season where we have mangoes and kuna maembe, kuna mandizi, you know, the apples. And then there's that season where people just want avocados. But if that person who said no to you, probably that's probably gonna pay me, because no matter how much avocado season is popping up, I ain't eating avocados. I don't know. I don't have a thing for avocados and bananas. So you might be the best person at that moment in their lives, but they still don't think you're the best. You see, and probably they don't think you guys match or align or something like that. So let everyone just pick their own side and just move on. Usikubali ati the fact that this person said no to you, it's the end of the world for you, and there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that life has to be the way it is, and you might be the best mango in the season, but nobody wants you, and that's life.